individuals, foundations, corporations, faith, government organizations, about $1,266,000. And event income came in at about a net income of about 143,000 for a grand total of a net income of about 90,000. It's amazing to me that as the threat of COVID-19 closed pad shelters, and the leadership of Journeys basically had to work to act to secure hotel housing for our clients. The community and local governments responded to the leadership's call for action, and this was the result. The result is that the income that was necessary to meet the expenses was obtained. So that's really that's the main point I mean to make here. Comments or questions? There being none.
All right, no questions, Suzanne, coming in from the stream?
Nope, we have no questions yet. When we do,
Okay.
I will jump in and let you know. We're going to have a little bit of a delay between the questions popping up and when we can answer them.
Sure. Yes. Okay, thank you, Paul. Point 5 on our agenda, our new board member vote. The board members received the biographical information and resume of Mark Have, who is being recommended as a new board member by the executive committee. So we are putting him forward. Mark is first vice president of Cornerstone National Bank. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve Mark Have as a board member of Journeys.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Second? Was there a second?
I'll second Mark Kilgore.
Okay, thank you, Mark. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Wonderful. Mark Have has been approved for board membership. Great. Next on our agenda, item 6 is our 2020-2021 slate of officers. This slate of officers is for the next year, and Fernando Iguia is president. Noreen Rolanitis, interim vice president and secretary, until such time that a new vice president steps forward and is able to fill that role. So 2 for right now, roles for me. And Paul Adamczyk, treasurer. I asked the board members to entertain a motion to accept the slate of officers for this next year.
I'll entertain a motion. I so move.
And second?
Second, this is Melissa.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor will say aye.
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 Opposed? Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. We will serve in that capacity at your pleasure. Next on our agenda, point number 7, I would like to introduce Todd Sull, our, I'm gonna say, forget his title.
Clinical director.
Clinical director. I'm like, okay, it just totally went out of my mind. Clinical director, Todd.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to update everyone on what Journeys has been doing this last year to help clients. Since our last meeting in August 2019, the world has been in turmoil. Last fall, the year unfolded like most years, with the pad shelters opening normally. The economy was very strong, and each month we were helping 5 to 10 clients find jobs and supporting the hundreds that already had jobs. Just as important, we were helping to move 10 or so clients each month out of the shelters and into permanent housing. Although last fall was quite a typical time of year, in January, we started hearing reports of a pandemic spreading in China. Beth, Suzanne, and I started meeting to put together contingency plans for worst case scenarios. We also started talking to our Heartland Health Outreach nurse partner and PADS volunteer, Mary Tornabeni, who has been a part of the Journeys family for 20 years. We discussed how to control the spread of this new disease called COVID. We were convinced that the pandemic would spread to the United States, and it was clear that once it had a foothold, there was no effective way to stop it because it seemed very infectious. Despite this, January and February were pretty normal at Journeys. We continued to do excellent work and move people out of homelessness. March, though, is when the bottom dropped out for all of us. Picture Journeys as a dam. We keep our clients safe from a rush of instability. People come to us in their worst crises, and we help them patch up their lives so that they don't lose their house, or if they are in our shelters, we help them create a new place they can call home. If Journeys is a dam, last March we came close to completely bursting. When our 20 congregate shelters were faced with a pandemic that put our volunteers at high risk for serious complications, we faced the biggest crisis the agency has ever seen. I'm sure we were all scared by what was happening and what it meant for our clients and for our own families. But an amazing thing did happen as we faced this crisis. We pulled together. In the space of less than 2 weeks, we completely rebuilt our service delivery model. And I can speak for everyone at Journeys that we were never prouder of our staff, volunteers, and the community than during those 2 weeks. That's a time that none of us will ever forget. During this period, we made 3 critical decisions. First, we helped our faith community partners close their shelters down in an orderly manner. Because information about COVID was rapidly evolving, we will be forever grateful to our volunteers and site leaders who extended us patience and grace as we figured out new safety protocols on the fly. And they invested time to brainstorm with us on how to stay open. But it became very clear that there was no safe way to continue our services as it was. So our second step was, over the course of a long weekend, to move all clients in the shelters into hotels to reduce their exposure to COVID. Because of some Herculean fundraising efforts and community partners like the Viatorians, we were able to secure donations to pay for those hotel rooms. This would be one of the best decisions that Journeys has ever made. And I don't say that lightly. Because other congregate shelters such as Pacific Garden Mission in Chicago, they stayed open. And they saw both clients and staff die from COVID. In contrast, because of our aggressive moves to protect clients, we have had just 2 mild cases of COVID diagnosed in our clients during this entire pandemic. And that's something we should be extremely proud of. We were one of the first agencies in the nation to make this decision to move our clients into hotels. And in fact, I've been told on good authority that the city of Chicago modeled their hotel program on our model. Our third step was that we rebuilt how we delivered services at the Hope Center. We immediately switched to an appointment model for clients and limited how many clients could be in the building. We required all persons in the building to be masked up continually. We started providing some services like food pantry outside, where we could make curbside loading into cars. And we shifted as much of our counseling and case management as possible to over the phone. Although these changes might sound simple on paper, they actually required a lot of preparation and communication. And I just want to say once again, I can't overstate how proud we are of all of our staff and clients and volunteers for their support during this transition, because it was a rough transition, but we did it so well. Since March, we've been housing an average of about 90 clients per month in the hotels. We've also been seeing around 150 clients at the Hope Center each month. We never once closed during this entire pandemic. And through an amazing meal delivery program designed by staff and executed with the generous assistance of hundreds of volunteers, we have served more than 50,000 meals to clients at the hotels. And we have at least tripled the amount of food pantry that we have been giving to clients year over year. Based on this amazing support that we've received from volunteers in the community, Journeys has continued to operate as close to normally as possible, during the most chaotic time most of us have probably ever seen. We continue to complete housing applications each week. We continue to move people into permanent housing. We continue to help clients get jobs. And we continue to deepen partnerships with supporters such as the Viatorians, the Alliance to End Suburban Cook County, and congressional representatives like Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy. At the start of this pandemic, the fear of what might happen was at times almost overwhelming. But I think it really is important to celebrate how far we've come in the last 6 months and how much we have accomplished. Journeys has kept clients healthy and housed and moving forward through all of it. Now, with all that said, we do still have some challenges on the horizon. Our new service model costs money. To feed and house 100 people in the hotels, it costs about $20,000 a week. To see clients in the office and by phone, it costs about another $5,000 per week. The work of our 6 clinical professionals has become even more important as we help clients solve every problem imaginable that has come up during this pandemic. In addition, the need for our services continues to grow. It may grow even more rapidly soon. We are turning away people from the hotels, as many as 25 each week, due to a lack of funding. We don't expect that to stop because there's a huge need out there. Many of these clients were laid off because of COVID. The result is that other agencies like the fire department and hospitals are eating these costs to keep these people safe. And we know that many local governments are cash strapped, so without significant federal assistance, we do expect people in the suburbs to die on the street this winter due to lack of resources unless we get that federal assistance freed up. We also believe that when the eviction moratorium is lifted, there will be a tsunami of people becoming homeless. Unfortunately, a huge percentage of these people will be children. Just in one recent month, we saw a 4-fold increase in the number of calls we had to make to the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services. In all of these cases, the parents were living in their cars with their kids while they were actively trying to provide for them, but the safety net had completely failed these families. As you probably all know, when a person doesn't have a stable place to live in, it creates massive ripples in their life. It often leads to job loss, which leads to income loss, which leads to a spiral of lost stability. That person's household can no longer contribute to the economy fully. And the result is that the neighborhood grocery store, the neighborhood dry cleaner, and the neighborhood restaurant, they all lose income. Not to mention landlords lose their income too. We all know this. And one of our jobs lately has been educating everyone we know about these realities and what we can do concretely to help, because there is a lot that we can do. So this last year has been one of intense ups and downs. We have had many successes despite the pandemic. Perhaps the greatest lesson the last year has taught Journeys is that when our volunteers and community supporters pull together and support us, not even the end of the world will stop us from stabilizing our clients' lives. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Next, we're going to hear from Beth. Beth is going to brief us on the current state of our building project, along with some other State of the Union information. Beth?
Thanks, Noreen. I'm Beth Neighbors. I'm the Executive Director of Journeys of Our Own Home, and I've had the pleasure of being in this position for over 20 years. I want to thank you, Todd, for doing a lovely job of highlighting all the work that the staff, the volunteers, the community, our board of directors have done to push us through this pandemic. We will continue to push through during this pandemic, and we'll do so with quality services. So thank you to everybody who has made that possible. As you heard, we've morphed to serve safely, and we continue to make community impact. Last year at our annual meeting, we announced our plans to build a comprehensive facility providing shelter, services, and housing. We shared that based on our projections and successfully meeting our campaign goals, we were perfectly positioned to be in the final stages of construction at this very moment, as I speak. But when COVID hit, so did the reality that we had to put our public campaign on hold, and that meant we would not hit our goal to start construction in the time frame anticipated. However, tonight I am so pleased to share that just like we persevered in providing quality and comprehensive services and housing during the pandemic, we also persevered with our building plans. Yes, our fundraising efforts shifted from building the community's dream building to help our most fragile, to housing those most fragile in hotels. But thank you to HCAM Architects, Power Construction, and the Journeys family. We were able to redesign the building with the funds we have raised prior to COVID, coupled with a generous loan from Cornerstone Bank. However, our work is not done. In order to push forward while also assessing that Journeys can remain strong and stable for the sake of those who are struggling in our neighborhoods and in our communities, we will be reintroducing our public campaign with hopes of not having to utilize the loan. Suzanne is sharing now some pictures of this new design, and as you can see, it's a beautiful facility. But we really need your help to help Journeys stay debt-free so our services can remain free for those who need us. So we need your help with this effort, and Suzanne's going to share with you, Suzanne Ploger, our Director of Development, of how we're going to give you opportunities to help us provide that assistance, to help us meet that goal so we don't have to go into debt, so we don't have to open up that loan, which was generously provided, and we can continue to move forward with the strength that we have shown our community during these most difficult times. Todd alluded to the fact that we are not done, and we're not. Anybody who's paying attention to the COVID will see that Illinois is in a resurgence, and we are hitting numbers higher than we've hit since the beginning of COVID. The people who are going to be impacted are those we serve first. And then our agency will absolutely be impacted based on the communities being impacted. So we need your help. With that said, I do hand this over to Suzanne, and Suzanne's going to share with you some opportunities you'll have to continue supporting Journeys and continuing to support the agency you began many years ago in the northwest suburbs of Cook County.
Thanks, Beth. So before I get started on all the ways you can help, I'm going to share our new timeline that we have for the campaign. When we kicked off our public phase of the campaign at Leap into Hope last February, which seems a very, very long time ago, little did we know that the first couple cases of COVID would be hitting our area practically the next day. So we've had to adjust, as Beth said, and we've made some wonderful plans and keeping our intent to provide this amazing building to our community and to those we serve. So on the screen is the new timeline. We have the target date for the relaunch of the public phase of the campaign for February of next year. We're finalizing all of our building plans and permits, and we'll be kicking off that public phase once again in February, hopefully to a much better reaction and not bring a pandemic with us. We expect to have construction starting in spring of 2021, and with the building finishing up really the start of 2022. So still a very quick turnaround for our project and what we are trying to accomplish for it. With the original budget of the building that we presented at the public kickoff, the original budget was $8.6 million. And that was really a dream that we expected to fulfill. But as COVID hit, as Beth said, we kind of reevaluated our resources, the community's resources, and we didn't want to providing. We wanted to make sure we were providing all of the same services, just a little bit different. So we now have a new revised budget of $6.2 million. As Beth said, that is with a construction loan. And so we will be continuing to raise money so that we don't have to take out that loan. And then also have a little extra in the pot for any little extras that need to be done for the construction plans itself. So in addition to our construction and our fundraising efforts for the building, our regular fundraising continues. We have our Bid for Hope event, our big gala that everyone loves to come to. Of course, this year we're going virtual, and that is going to be on Friday, November 13th. We're going to have a virtual gala event. You can purchase a ticket to participate in the exclusive auction items that we have available. We'll have a wine pull, which is always very popular at the event, so we're still going to keep that wine pull. Also have a raffle. Anyone can buy a ticket for the raffle. You don't have to get a ticket for the event itself. It's a share the pot raffle, so we can kind of spread the joy a little bit. all that information is listed on our website, journeystheroadhome.org, and that website is on the screen as we speak. So there's a lot of different ways to support. We've had some wonderful support from the community and our local governments for our hotel fund. We're starting to get some reimbursement dollars from the state and county to help us continue keeping people safe in hotels while we continue to get them housed. As Todd and Beth both have said, we're so proud of the fact that we have had uninterrupted services this entire time. We've continued to provide shelter. We've continued to provide services to the Hope Center. We've continued to get people housed. It just looks a little different than what we're all used to and familiar with. So it's been a definite change in our agency, but we continue to provide all the services we've been known for the past 30 years. So for that, stop that. And then if there's any questions or anything that we have on bid or the campaign, I still don't have any questions from YouTube. So it's anything from the board members have any questions before we kind of wrap things up and have our last screen to share with the live stream audience.
Okay, hearing none. Is there any other business that needs to come before the annual meeting? Any other announcements of any kind?
Noreen, I just want to take a second to say, Todd, excellent presentation. Everyone at Journey's best. I mean, just incredible. Just incredible, absolutely amazing effort. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks,
For
Ryan.
everyone. Great. Well, seeing no other business come before the meeting, I entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I'll so move.
Second?
I'll second that. Paula Donchik will second that.
All right. I adjourn the meeting at 6:57 p.m. Thanks, everybody, for coming and for joining in on the Zoom meeting. And thank you for the people who are listening and tuning in live on YouTube. We appreciate your support in this very odd but very productive meeting that we've had tonight. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Take care.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Bye all.